What's up YouTube, it's your boy Bernard for reals, and on this video I'll be talking to you guys about essentialism, and I'll be sharing with you guys some interesting points on what it means to be an essentialist. And guys, please, if you like this video, please like, and if you like this type of content, please subscribe. Now let's get into it. Now first of all, what is essentialism? Essentialism by definition is making the wisest investment of our time and energy to operate at our highest level of contribution by doing only what is essential. Now, how do we go about doing this? Now, the first point, less but better. By the name essentialism, now this is basically you picking or choosing to do what is actually important. Now, this actually goes against the modern day trend in which the more you do, the better you are. But instead, essentialism is basically the less you do, the happier you get. One interesting idea that really stuck with me is that you do not underestimate the unimportance of basically everything. Now, this essentially means that most of the things you're actually doing is actually basically useless and meaningless and will not actually, in the long run, give you anything meaningful. Naval Ravikant actually took it a step further when he said 99% of what we do is actually fruitless. It's basically the 1% that we actually do that actually produce the long-term results that we see in future. Yeah, that actually got me thinking, like, instead of going about doing more things, why don't you just focus on those things that actually really matter? He gave a really interesting idea on how to go about this. Instead of seeking what to remove from your life, try looking at it through this kind of lens by actually thinking about what you can actually go big on, actually yielding results and just focusing on those things. Essentialism is basically subjective. If you feel in your heart of hearts that is what is important, try and go big on those things. And actually, things that are actually unimportant will, by law of cause and effect, will eventually not take up most of your time. And now the second point is, if you do not prioritize your life, someone else will. Now, when I saw this point in the book, it struck like a bullet. A lot of us as humans actually have a lot of friends and families, and even our parents that might actually want to have a say in our lives and might want to micromanage our lives. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. At a particular age it is, but like maybe when you're like coming up, it's actually not a bad thing. But it gets to a point when you've gotten to the age of maturity and that continues to play out, it's quite unhealthy. By this point, if you do not prioritize your life, someone else will. If you do not have a game plan, or a plan for yourself, somebody else is going to put you into their plan to fit into their plan. And most likely it wouldn't be a plan you would like or you would opt for. But because you basically have nothing better to do, because you have no plan, you're just going to go with the flow. Honestly, that breeds a lot of resentment, and that's not a path that I think is quite healthy. Because at the end of the day, whatever decision you make, you are the one that's going to have to live with it. I prefer to die without regrets than dying feeling, oh my God, my mom made me do this, or my dad made me do this. Like, you decide what is better, but like, I think the best way to go about it is by actually dying by your own sword, if I may put it. And there's another really interesting point, we can't be or do everything in life. Us as humans, we are basically limited, and we are mortals, right? I mean, unless you are some demigod or some Zeus watching this YouTube video, we probably have limited mental resources, limited emotional resources, limited financial resources, unless you're Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, which at some point is still actually going to be a limit. But yeah, we all have limited time and limited energy to expend on different projects. And we can't all decide to be a doctor, at the same time be a pilot, at the same time be a full-time musician, at the same time become like some corporate mogul or some financial expert. Like, I mean, that point really opened my eyes to some mistakes, like doing too much, because like we can actually delude ourselves into thinking you can do a lot, but at the end of the day, you've actually accomplished nothing. So guys, remember this fact. You can do anything basically, but you can't do everything. Another interesting point we got him in the book is that you always have a choice. Now, as human beings, we all have choice. I mean, even God himself gave us a choice. Like, we all have choices, and we delude ourselves into leaning into the extremes of I do not have a choice, because honestly, you do have a choice. The only thing is you're afraid of the consequences that follow. For example, somebody saying I have no choice but to study for this exam. That's actually basically a lie. You actually do have a choice. You could play, you could watch movies, and like hope for the best and write the exam. But because you are scared of the consequences of you failing, you end up lying to yourself that you don't have a choice, because like, there's always a choice, honestly. I'm not saying that not studying for an exam is a bad thing. I'm just pointing out the fact that delude ourselves into thinking we have no say or we are helpless in some certain situations. And that's actually quite wrong. We're just scared of the consequences that may follow. As an essentialist, You need to try to move from a point of helplessness, in which I have no choice, I have no say in this, to that of control and power. Because you making that statement of, I have no choice, you're basically giving your power away. And as an essentialist, that doesn't really go well. So guys, you always have a choice, and whatever you may hear or whatever you may see, don't forget that fact. You're just scared of the consequences, basically. Another point is doing less and thinking more. Thinking is basically the whole engine of essentialism. Without thinking and actually really the mental work to actually choose what is essential, the path towards essentialism is basically impossible, because you need to think to pick what is actually essential. Because if you do not take the time to think through situations, it's actually going to be very dangerous to practice essentialism, because at some point, if you really don't sit down to count the cost and really know what you're getting into and think about ways to actually apply essentialism in, some areas of life, essentialism do apply, but in some areas, it may not really apply. At some point, you may eventually cut away things that actually make life livable and make life better and make life enjoyable. You can even cut away family, you cut away friends on your journey of being an essentialist. But at the end of the day, you're actually not being an essentialist, because the whole essence of being an essentialist is to do less to live a much more fuller life. And if your life is not fuller, but you're doing less, that defeats the whole purpose of actually being an essentialist. Next point, if you are too busy to think, then you are probably too busy. We live in a very non-essentialist world. Why? Because many people are actually on the rat race or in the hamster wheel of events just happening around their lives. Now, as an essentialist, you need to take out time to think and to really try and understand what is basically going on. Without your brain in the game, you are headed for a crash. So if you're too busy to think, you might have to really take it down a notch. The next point is, to be an essentialist, you need to first be a non-essentialist. Now, this sounds counterintuitive, but just wait for me for a second. To actually know what to cut off or to what to go big on, you actually need to try out different things to actually know what you need to go big on. For example, I see a guitar, right? And that's the only instrument I've actually practiced. And I decide to go big on the guitar, not knowing that if I'd maybe taken some time to try other instruments, I'm gonna have found out that, hey, I have more of an inclination towards the keyboard. And I can actually make a whole lot more progress in the keyboard than the guitar, because it kind of vibes to my kind of personality. But because I didn't try other things or taste on other things, I might go big on the guitar, quite all right, but I'm actually selling myself short, because I could have gotten more results playing a keyboard if I'd gone big on it. So that's the whole idea. You need to actually take the time to actually try different things. To be an essentialist, you actually first have to be a non-essentialist. Like they say, a wise man was once a fool. You need to first pass through that season of trying out new stuff. There are no solutions in life, there are only trade-offs. Now, what does this mean? Now, basically, when we decide to do something or decide to go essential on something, we are basically trading that thing for something else. The same way, if you decide to focus on school, you're basically trading Instagram time and social media time for time with studies. It just opens your mind to the fact that there are no one hat fits all. There are going to be trade-offs. There are trade-offs in life, and you actually have to really be intentional about what you're trading off as an essentialist, because some things are too important to trade off for anything, like family or friends or good people in your life. They're one of the greatest gifts we can have as human beings, our people. And if you actually don't have that understanding that whatever you do is not exactly a solution, but a trade-off, you could actually end up trading off some things you're actually not ready to live without. So guys, think about the trade-offs. You cannot do what is essential without being clear about what is essential. Now, actually, this boils down to basically thinking. If you're not clear on what is basically important, you are basically not going to do it. It's easy for everyone to say they're an essentialist, but it's not everyone that actually goes about doing the work of being an essentialist. You need clarity to know what to do. So guys, before you can become essential, you need to be clear about what is really important to you in that season of life you're going through. You need to be really clear about what it is you're gonna do and do it. So guys, clarity is key. The final point is learn to say no. Now, the whole idea of essentialism is doing less, like I said earlier, and without the power to say no, that is not going to be possible, because a lot of people have agendas for you and a lot of friends might want you to do some certain errands, and a lot of family members already have agendas for you. And if you do not have the ability to say no, you're basically going to be carrying on a lot of things that are unimportant, and also not doing things that are true to yourself as an essentialist individual. So guys, I'm going to end this video by saying the moment you can learn to say no is the moment you prevent a lot of resentment from brewing in your life. And question of the day, if any of these points resonated with you and you really got something, please put it down in the comments below what insights you got and help us to learn and also to grow. If you like this video, please like, and if you like this type of content, please subscribe. And remember to always keep it real. Bye guys.